I feel like I need to make this video because of the kinds of people that I attract. So, I support Trump for president. I know more about what's going on politically than anyone I've ever heard from or ever have talked to. I know more about what's going on in society and culturally as far as the manipulation from the top in grooming everybody for particular roles in the world war model. You know, raising certain groups of people or as many people as they can as guard/attack dogs, like the way the sex traders raise boys to be sex trade females guard/attack dogs. This whole country's set up like this. NATO runs all that shit. They spread the culture that everybody whines about, Epstein about, except Epstein, from what I've heard, only dealt with 14 and up, which is literally the universal standard across the world when it comes to age of consent, because humans are ready for marriage at 13 if we raise them smart and not like retards like we do in the NATO countries, where we keep everybody away from their nature so long that they're easy to groom and they're literally neglected of the love that they're supposed to have from a significant other at the age they're supposed to the point where when they're done developing their brains, they don't know how to function properly as a human being. I support Israel because I support Palestine. And I know the only way for Palestine to be free is with Israel. I also know that their biggest enemies, just like everybody's biggest enemies, are outsiders butting in, telling everyone what they should be doing instead. All they do is fan the flames of extremism and hatred and fear, because they will literally help people to kill people on the other side. So it doesn't really matter to me what anyone thinks they know, because unless they actually know the truth, I will think they are stupid as hell and likely dangerous, picking a side that they know nothing about in real life, only what they've heard from television, like the whole election leading to the world war because we don't want Trump. I'm sorry your gigantic brothel is falling to pieces because the parts that you need to keep secret aren't secret anymore. I put a lot of effort into that. I know what the hell is going on. I'm not here to have political arguments with people, because the only people who have political arguments with me are people who are so ignorant there is no way to show them what the truth is, because they have no way to know any of the things that they think they know. Everything they think they know is just what they want to believe. Like Santa Claus and the fucking Tooth Fairy. So, and this goes all the way up to the politicals that run everything. People have been slowly waking up. Sadly, the people who refuse, well, the people who, there's people who want to keep things the way they were. And that's not going to happen. You can call for war, you can say Putin's starting it. Putin didn't start anything. He merely started defending the Russians that live in Ukraine, that sided with Putin. That's it. Because the way the West works is, if you don't get along, you have to separate each other and form different countries that end up also having endless wars forever, like Pakistan and India. It's like an insane asylum. But that's what they run things on, because from trauma come producers in the sex trade. and producers create income for those who help run it, or those who are willing to enslave themselves to it. And then they go around calling it freedom, and then they're willing to fight wars to enforce that freedom. While we pretend to be moral in order to get rid of moral people by tricking them into fighting for things that are never actually won. So we go around pretending that we're saving kids from marriage and all this other shit, when in reality we're freeing them into the brothel where they get to be exploited and brainwashed to think that it's freedom. All of the shit that's going on with all of the everybody coming out of the closet sexually is directly related to our entire culture being a gigantic brothel and delusional as hell. One great movie that's a good example of delusion turned into movie is the movie Pretty Baby. It's a complete fever dream from within the brothel. So if you want to know what it's like to think from within the brothel, watch that movie. If it feels normal to you, you think like someone within the brothel. If it seems extremely strange to you, you're probably more on the normal side. But chances are someone's keeping tabs on you and pushing you towards an extremist group so that they can make themselves have the permission to defend themselves against you, like they did with the January 6th people and the MAGA Republicans, and just MAGA period, people in general, because it's not just Republicans. But the Democrat extremists, or I call them Nazis, are very anti-republic. And the Nazis are an extension of the monarchies that run slavery, that separate everybody into breeds, and genetics, which is just an extension of breeding. It's the same exact science. It just has a scientific name wrapped around it. That way, everyone can know who rules and who shouldn't. And the people who shouldn't get bullied and oppressed and persecuted. God exists. But the biological function we have within us that allows us to feel God's presence is considered a hold back, something that's holding us back to our primitive state, even though there's no such thing as a primitive human. There's only primitive action. It's nothing to do with biology. But we have a bunch of faith-based science, and by faith I mean completely delusional and made up. Has nothing to do with religion. That proves, that this is how things were, yada, yada, yada. So I don't expect anybody to really understand what I'm talking about, because most people are too stupid. Period. Most of the people who are focusing on their families and not what other people are doing have no problem understanding what I'm talking about. Because it's a fundamental process. It's a fundamental nature of humans, is to understand what humans are supposed to be doing and what's beyond their capabilities. So there's a bunch of people who are pretending that all this running everyone else's lives isn't beyond their capabilities, but they're deluding themselves and lying. And they're just exploiters and scammers. So feel free to ask questions if you want, reply with a video if you want, but you're not going to like the answers that I'm going to give you. And if you're not happy with the answers I give because I'm not providing any proof, all you're doing is repeating what you've heard. You don't actually have any proof either. A simplistic version of the truth, while it's slightly truthish, is not the whole picture. And no one who has disagreed with me actually has any kind of larger picture view of things. I've been working on this shit for decades. So good luck, I guess. I tried to help everyone have peace, but the gigantic whorehouse will not free everyone without a horrible war. And they'll never free anybody anyways. They just want to stop people from trying to leave. So anyways, love y'all. Good luck.